house, in the house.
YouTube, what's up? SK Usuma here. So today we're going to talk about a few terms and, some things that have been going on with Bless Online. Yes, I'm still on Bless Online. So we're going to go into the meaning of early access because it seems a lot of people don't understand what early access means.
Let's talk about it.
First off, I'm about to commit one of the biggest internet no-nos, and that is citing Wikipedia. But I feel this has to be done because you're going to have to know all of the meanings around early access predating what Steam believes to be early access. So I'm going to be reading this verbatim, and there's going to be, they'll follow along on screen so you can go ahead and read it as well. And it says, early access, also known as early funding, alpha access, or paid alpha, is a funding model in the video game industry by which consumers can pay for a game in the various development cycles, including pre-alpha, alpha, beta, and obtain access to the pre-full release versions of the game. Now you're probably thinking, SK, what does that have to do with how Bless is doing their system of the game right now? And why is that considered early access since the game has been out for about 4 years now and it has failed 3 times in other countries, since that's a famous saying of people that are trying to discredit the game. So from there, we're going to take a stroll over to Steam's version of early access. And you can find the link in the description to my source. So Steam poses the question, what is early access? And it says, get immediate access to games that are being developed with the community's involvement. These are games that evolve as you play them, as you give feedback, and as developers update and add content. I mean, they pretty much outline what an early access game is in their standards, and NeoWiz has not stepped away from that according to their standards. I mean, even Steam goes out of their way to say, they pretty much give you like what you should look forward to when you're going into an early access game. And it says, when you buy an early access game, you should consider what the game was like to play right now. Look at the screenshots, videos to see what the game looks like in its current state. There are a lot of ways a game can change as it develops over time. So if you aren't excited to play the game in its current state, then hold off and wait until the next update. It shouldn't be far off. So now we've gone over what an early access game actually is. And if you can compare those definitions given to you to the game that we got when it was released, for early access, might I add, and may I remind you, the price you pay is the price you chose to pay. We got the game we paid for.
Listen, and listen good.
There has been no MMORPG, no massive multiplayer online role-playing game in history to have ever come out with endgame content on release.
Change my mind, I'm open.
And by this, I mean once released, there have been no updates to the game, no changes to the game to influence story, or to add playability to the game. And so help me God if one of you say Minecraft. What I believe does happen with Bless is that the players from the Japanese server came over to the US server expecting they were going to get to do everything they did on the Japanese server and be ready to raid and PvP within, the first week of playing the game. And not being able to do that was a huge cultural shock. I feel like no one remembers the time when MMOs first came to the US and there was no endgame content. There were cap levels after cap levels of grinding and continuous grinding on top of grinding until they finally decided to release a raid for whatever boss they had cooked up in the lab. I feel like people have forgotten what it's like to play a game where the end is uncertain and getting there is the journey. And that's where the excitement lies, in the journey of the game itself with your friend.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I'm sorry, I got a little bit carried away. I tend to do that with, things I'm passionate about. And playing MMOs, especially playing this one for the very first time, might I add, is something I'm passionate about, even with all of the mistakes that NeoWiz has made. And I will admit they have made some mistakes. And I said it in my previous video that they have made some mistakes. I've pointed out the mistakes that they've made extensively. But what they're doing different than other developers is that they're actually still listening to the community. They're doing their best to make the game better for the players, while trying not to make it pay to win, while trying to keep their word about not pushing cash shop upon cash shop purchases on people. All this while having people posting videos talking about dead game, the game is trash, the game is shit, that you shouldn't play the game, that you should refund the game. how to refund the game, what to say when refunding the game. And many people have thrown around the term cash grab, like they're doing this to get in and make some money to where they can replace whatever they lost from the failed versions of the game, which that is an actual reason that people said that they've made this, but they've made less in releasing this game than it took for them to actually bring this game here. So please explain where the sense is in that. Another gripe I have is people saying that the game has failed 3 times in 3 other regions, when in 2 other regions the game is still active. And in one region, the only reason the game closed down was because the game wasn't released with the initial level 60 cap that they wanted, so they can charge people more money for more items that made the game pay to win. Something that we are fighting hard against here in the US to not have in the game. Am I right? Sure, those 2 other open regions may have dwindling populations or a small stagnant population, but the fact is they still have a population and people still play the game, therefore they have not failed. And these claims are of course brought on by, the people that call themselves trolls and go into the Reddit, Discord, YouTube, and actually into the game itself to cause discord. No wordplay intended. And it is definitely sad to see that some of these trolls are the YouTubers and Twitch streamers that people look up to when it comes to finding out about the game. I've said it before and I'll say it one more time just to make sure that you guys are hearing me. One more time for the people in the back. Making a negative review for a video game on YouTube is much more profitable than making a positive review for a video game on YouTube, especially if it coincides with the already negative reviews building up on YouTube. So my question to you is,
why are you so negative all the time?
Well, I actually have an answer to that one. This is referred to as the negativity bias, also known as the negativity effect. It refers to the notion that even when equal intensity, things of more negative nature have a greater effect on one's psychological state and processes than natural or positive things. In other words, something very positive will generally have less impact on a person's behavior or cognition than something of equal emotional but negative. And a lot of these bigger YouTubers feed on that to make their revenue. And I don't have to say their names, you know who they are. But back to the matter at hand, along with the opening screw up that NeoWiz did fuck up during early access, I mean, while we're here, we might as well touch on the emissaries, of course, because they are imploding left and right. And I feel like this is due to the fact that NeoWiz once again didn't take into account that they needed people that actually cared about the game, that actually had feedback for the game, that won't sit on their stream and bitch and complain about their class being underpowered, which is exactly what's happening right now. But I'm gonna leave the emissary video for another video. And I mean, I think I saved the best for last because everybody wants to hear someone going in on NeoWiz and the fact that they really did screw up in early access for themselves. And to that, I say, yeah, they fucked up. In my other video, I listed the reasons why they fucked up, how they could have done better. On top of that, they have these emissaries that they could have used to actually run the game and test for bugs. If they would have picked people that have played the Japan server that knew the bugs, or played the Russia server, or played the Korean server that knew where all the bugs were, and actively reported these bugs, maybe none of this would have happened. But they didn't do any of that. Instead, they fly them out to wherever the hell they went and pretty much just let them play the game for a little bit in town, which didn't really give them any time to find anything to report to them. You would think that they would have done the whole emissary picking process earlier, given them access to the game, and because I'm pretty sure emissaries had to sign an NDA, they wouldn't be able to say shit about what they're doing in the game beforehand. This of course could have knocked out some of the more prevalent bugs like duping and the Chile fiasco that we had recently, as well as give them a scale on what the damage looks like in the game before releasing the damage to the public and letting people get to 45 faster, and then nerfing the damage, stopping other people that are trying to level up by themselves from getting to 45 in the same speed or the same time frame. Now I applaud NeoWiz because they are going back every week and they are putting in updates and patch fixes and they're listening to the community and they're making changes, but this could have all been avoided if they would have tested the game beforehand. This could have all been avoided if they would have gotten these emissaries to test the game. This could have all been avoided if they would have just said, hey community, what are some bugs you guys know about that we should be worried about that would break the game? And someone in the community would come up and say, hey, there's this bug that causes players to duplicate, items over and over and make them, hundreds of thousands of gold within minutes. And I think you guys should know about this because this may actually affect the game, instead of not saying anything until it actually happens. Because a ton of you knew that this dupe bug was in the game, and you just thought that they would take it out when you apparently have said that this has been in every version of the game and they have taken it out since then. And yeah, you can combat and say that's not your responsibility to report bugs to them that they should have been aware of, but then aren't you just leading to the downfall of the game that you wanted to succeed in the first place? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off right here, and I really wish it didn't come out to be this long, but this is how it ended up. I went on ranting a little bit, and I'm sorry about that. For some reason, this video is very Family Guy heavy with the memes, and I guess that's just what I found at the time to suit what I needed it for. But yeah, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. I'm gonna get some sleep.